Hare Krishna. On April 18th, 1961, Srila Gurudeva gave a speech on science at the Maharastra Mandala Society in Mathura, where he was invited to speak on the auspicious day of Akshaya Tritiya, known in the Vedas as the first day of creation and the most auspicious day to begin any venture. So Gurudev gave a speech there in front of the congregation. And he talked about the idea of science and spirituality. He said that most people think that by sending a man into space, countries like Russia and America have sent man into almost a divine age, and modern society is advancing towards the pinnacle of achievement. Gurudev said, however, while it is certain that it is true that material science is progressing, but have the fundamental problems that face humanity been solved? Are people not starving in dire poverty? Is there no scarcity of food, clothing, and necessities of life? These problems still exist, even though we see they are decreasing to some extent. But Gurudev continued saying, are the problems of corruption, bad character, things like cheating, theft, corruption, racism, suicide, useless demonstrations, revolutions, are they not continuing to manifest in horrible forms around the world? Gurudev continued emphatically, are the animals and birds not citizens of the world? In the so-called age of science, is violence and cruelty towards animals an example of universal love? Therefore, Gurudev said, shame on this so-called development of science in humanity. The problem is that material science, Gurudev said, they propound so-called advancements while considering the body made of matter to be the true self. And they work so hard to make this temporary body immortal. They want the highest possible enjoyment out of this body, but at the same time they don't accept the animals and birds as world citizens. They just think of them as objects meant for their food and pleasure. In ancient India, the philosophers and great sages, even though they were able to easily advance science, instead Gurudev described that they deliberately checked material progress. They understood that the true self is the spirit encased within the material body. The soul is a spark of divine consciousness, part and parcel of the Supreme Conscious Lord. The spark of consciousness, which is the living entity, is wandering in samsara, material existence, where we are suffering from the pangs of material existence. The Indian sages understood this condition, and therefore they focused on spiritual truths, and with the aim of the amelioration of the soul. This doesn't mean, however, that the sages were against bodily maintenance and civilization and advancement. And they taught these processes through yoga, pranayama, how to maintain the body, how to be healthy, how to have good society. All the Vedic sastras describe all forms of subtle sciences, very advanced sciences. Personalities like Ravan could travel through space to different planets. And personalities like Agastya Rishi, who was famous for drinking up the water of the ocean. The material science we see at present is actually very small compared to that of the past ages. Even though they were very advanced, the ancient leaders would hold back material science, because the more material science develops, the more it curtails spiritual advancement. Because people become more and more focused on external things, and they forget the internal nature of the soul. We can see this nowadays, how things are developing towards a very high level of technological state, and everything is becoming connected to the web. We're making smart cities, and they're even making progressing towards cybernetic humans, more and more we're embracing matter and becoming alienated towards the true nature of the spirit. Gurudeva said that those who tried to increase material prosperity while repressing the spiritual side were known to be demons, like Hiranyakashipu and Ravan. The Vedic spiritual ancestors knew that without faith in God, material prosperity would just cause people to neglect the spiritual side and engage in crimes against one another. It would lead to certain destruction. Therefore, the ancient leaders put forth deep spiritual conceptions and philosophical ideas in an effort to free living beings from this cycle of birth and death that they are suffering in. How is that? By giving them or keeping them situated in the science of self-realization or pure God consciousness, then they can transcend these material limitations. Gurudeva said at the end that if we want to save this world from destruction, then on this glorious day of Akshaya Tritiya, we should unite and take a vow to eradicate any society that is against Krishna, and in its place re-establish a dharmic society built on the foundation of spiritual science based on our ancient spiritual culture, and only then can the world attain true peace and happiness. Srila Gurudeva was very strong and bold in his speech and in his presentation and aims. So this was just a little excerpt from Sri Guru Darshan Volume 2, Chapter 21. Thank you for your time. Hare Krishna.